At you live. If you're watching on YouTube, not so live. Just wait for a couple of people to show up, and we'll get started. Alright. So, what are we going to be attacking this week? That's a good question. I was like, should we get back into Rosby and the database? Should we continue having fun with the adventure, the text adventure? And I thought, well, why don't we just get the text adventure engine a little further tonight, and we'll get back on the database next week. Because, and I might be doing a little bit more streaming soon, for at least for a little while. I might up my schedule just a bit. I am a free agent at the moment. I have left my previous agency and I'm looking for new work. So if you're interested in hiring a Haskell developer or just a general developer in general, because I program in lots of languages, check out my site. It's agentultra.com. See what I'm about. And yeah, that's about it for that. Let's get started, shall we? So, thanks for coming back. And if we haven't seen you before, welcome. It's nice to see you. Today, we're going to be working on our text adventure game. Started this on the last stream last week, and got inspired a little bit by the Kawaiinik blog post on Haskell mini patterns. I've since managed to fix our stackage issues that we had last time, so I converted everything over to maps and text. We use the phantom type pattern here, which is a really useful one. Notice the A on here has no A on the right hand side. That's what makes it the phantom pattern type. And we use this in a number of ways, but one of them that we're using in here is that we want to group together a bunch of things by a common element, like an ID. But we want to distinguish the different types without creating like a subtype of all these things. So we create a little entity ID, new type, and then we can use entity ID for items, entity IDs for exits. This is a nice benefit that we can distinguish the different kinds of entity IDs that we have in our system. So hopefully when we have functions that talk about items and exits, they won't get them mixed up. If we just have like a blank entity ID type, you have to be very careful not to introduce a bug. So that's why I use phantom types. Or one of the reasons, I guess. Alright, so also, just to catch some folks up, we have the rooms, items, and exits. It's how we're kind of modeling the world in terms of like the physical spaces the user can be in. And the world is kind of like the global database of everything. And so our idea with this design, I guess, was that that instead of kind of reaching down and modeling this in a hierarchy of objects, like you can imagine, say, rooms having the actual item values themselves and the actual exit values. It'd probably be a lot cleaner to do it this way. And so far that's working out pretty well. It's pretty good. And yeah, so we have like a default room here, a shovel, a purse, a little default world. Our render room function is nice and pure. And we got into commands, a couple of commands, walk and pick up, some game error stuff. Yeah, and this is because because of the design choice we made with the worlds being a giant database. Good evening, Bivich. Nice to see you. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Please correct me if I'm not. But welcome. It's good to see you. Yeah, so as a side effect of our design with the world, we have to look up in these maps, and looking up into a map can technically fail, so we have to push that error somewhere. And we pushed it to this walk-to function, to our render function, these sort of higher level functions that operate on the world itself, on the global state. So when the user walks to another room, that's going to change the state of the user in the world, which models the player position there. So it feels kind of okay that this is doing this here, but you can see where we're doing these lookups just to do error checking. That's another mini pattern we picked up from Kawaiinik here in the Haskell mini patterns. So this is just taking advantage of the sugaring that monad fail participates in the do notation stuff. If you don't know about this, it's actually kind of a nice pattern. You should go check out that. Thanks. Thanks, Beavish. I'm glad. You should check it out because it's kind of cool. So basically either has an instance, I believe it has an instance of monad fail. And it's defined somewhere. Maybe not either itself, but anyway, the general idea is that if we ever encounter a right or left, that will be the result of our whole computation. So there's no need to kind of nest all of our lookups. We could just do them one after the other, line by line. And that's really useful for when your error message doesn't really have a huge impact on your program's meaning and what it does. My personal favorite here is the space wizard error. So we're actually kind of feel like we're going to catch a potential cheat right there in our type system. Similarly with render, we stole the utilities maybe to write from the either combinators library. Just Ben. Okay, Ben, I'll try and remember that. Thank you. Welcome back, Ben. Hope you've been doing well, and hoping you've been hacking a lot of Haskell. Did anybody check out that's watching tonight the Vlad stream? See Vlad on the weekend? There's a bit of lag. Okay, let me just check. Yeah. Hopefully that will improve. I don't know how to do the jumping service things that Vlad does, but I'll figure this out one day. Okay, so when we were at this, we came up with this idea of interact. The interact takes, we're going to like build a read eval print loop for our game. Alright, well it was a good, if you missed out, it was good. Vlad has been doing this idea of podcast Sundays. You can check out his stream at CVlad. Maybe I'll see if I can paste it in chat, but we had a conversation on his stream on Sunday, and we talked about basically the resurgence or surgence of functional programming streamers, and had some pretty interesting ideas for some stuff. So stay tuned for that. We might do some pair programming type things together and more collaborations. Work on some pull requests to Haskell info tools and things like that. So Vlad, yeah, CVlad FP. I'll paste that in chat as well. Because Vlad's cool. You should totally follow him. Oh, hey, Vlad. Just pimping your channel. Or I probably shouldn't say that word, but showing your channel. Trying to. Yeah. So thanks for having me again on your stream there on Sunday. That was fun. We should do some more of that. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna kind of go with a simple-ish text game, and maybe we'll build onto it later, but kind of just gonna go for like a read eval print loop, like the Haskell REPL kind of thing. But instead our game loop will be the user enters some text, game responds to some events, and we change the state, and then we print out the new state of the game. Right on, Vlad. Right on. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, perfect. It'll be up on YouTube. So there you go. If you haven't caught up, no worries. It'll be there. Okay, so we have interact. Interact just updates the state of the world based on the command that it's given. It just changes things. And we wanted to kind of get to a point where maybe we can run the REPL, run the game, and walk to another room. Super exciting stuff. So what do we need still? We need a way to kind of get the input, do the interact, and then print out the results, which we already have the render part. We have the interact part, so let's do the loop. How do I want to do the loop? Let's see, we could just do a good old recursive function that calls itself. That would be pretty easy to start off with. And then if we want something a little bit more fancy that maybe carries around, well, we might actually want something a little bit fancy to carry on the state, but we'll see how that goes. Maybe we can just pass it thread it explicitly through. So yeah, REPL. Probably going to live in the IO action because we're going to be getting input from the user. So what are we going to do? We're going to have to get some input. Was it read line? Yeah, I think that's the one. There's a get line. I always forget. Get line, yeah. So we got to get line. We got to parse that. So we don't have anything like that yet. That's okay for now. Interact. We got to do the interaction. Let's just render. Actually, what's the world going to take? It's going to take a world, isn't it? I feel like it should. The reason why is because I want to pass it in here. And then I'm going to call myself all over again. Right, and that's going to give me an either game error to text. That's kind of annoying, but necessary. So let's pull that out. Rendered. Right, that's an either. Oh, what are we going to do if we... I'm already not liking this, but it's... maybe there's an abstraction we can use somewhere along the lines to move that either out of some of these functions. Ugh. But for now, let's not worry about it too much. Heck, we can just do case... We get a game error. Do something with that in a second, and otherwise we get a text. Oh, sorry, that's left. Actually, I'm showing this for that, so and then in the right, we have the rendered world, so just put strlen. And then do that. I can't do that because it's text, right? I don't even remember what the function is. Do I even have that in text? Yeah. It's probably like put text or something. This. Why can't I think of it right now? It's because I'm super tired and I didn't sleep well last night. That's why. The key to being an excellent programmer is to sleep well and eat healthy food. That's pretty much all you need. Wow. And Haskell, of course. Oh, what have I done? Oh, I need text IO, don't I? That's what it is. Do I have that? Let me check. I got like double buffers going here. Oh. Yeah, I can look it up because I was starting to get my to get Haskell language server up in the WSL2 environment. Put stir, okay. Put stir. Oh, it's really. I feel bad now. I should have known. Yeah. Otherwise, show the error. I'll just don't do anything interesting. Sure, print error. Why not? Not very useful. That's okay. We're not using input yet. Right. We should probably have a cool prompt for our text adventure game. It would be kind of cool to have like a nice dynamic prompt. You know, something that would show your inventory or something. There's get line, and then there's so one way I can give it. Well, maybe I can just do it by writing it out. I don't know. Interact. Cool. Interesting. Okay, well, we'll just kind of like hack it out and we'll put pop. And then we'll have to call hgetFlush if I recall. What's it called? Okay, maybe not, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come up if we try and render this anyway. So we got the REPL. Let's just pretend it's okay for now. Not, I don't think it really is yet. And so that calls itself again if we don't get any errors, otherwise it's going to stop and print the error. We can't really get out of it yet because we don't have any input handling. What if we build this? We should probably hook it up to our main entry point for the game. Which I don't know if we've actually touched yet. Oh yeah. Yeah, we were testing a lot. Right. Cool. So main, we'll construct our world here. I think it's going to be a good spot for it too, because ultimately with the game engine, you're not going to want to be, well, maybe it will be, but you might not want to be like compiling the engine every time you need to make change to the content of the game. So we'll probably like write some tools or something at some point later down the road to come up with a JSON format for our game files. But for now, let's just use our default world. We'll call REPL. All that. Don't really need to do, you're right. Probably don't need that anymore either. Just build fast here. Okay, cool. Moment of truth. Is it gonna work? It compiled, right? What was it probably called Adventure Engine EXE? Because we're just using the default template so far. Yeah. That's what I mean. So that's why we needed the hflush thing there. I don't know if you caught that, but the input line this right here happened after we got this, but our little prompt, we wanted that before. So, I mean, if you've done any amount of introductory Haskell stuff, you've probably seen that before. I have a bunch of times, so let's just go fix that up quickly. Where is that hflush function located? That's what I want to know. Is it in cal? Google. Ah, system.io, of course. Okay, cool. I knew that. Yeah, so let me flush here. Standard out. I'll just get, I think that might fix it. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Cool. So kind of got a little bit of a loop going. Happy cakes. What do we need to do next then? We need a quick command. I don't know how that's going to work. yeah. Hmm. Command handling. There's got to be like different layers, I guess, maybe, or something. Because do what? Because okay, we give interact, right? A command. And that's something to do with the world, right? It's like a command to change the world, like in the present, maybe in the present imperative tense. Go to that room. Well, the game might throw an error, so game error makes sense, right? It might say, like, no. If you give a command in the imperative tense, there's always the opportunity to say no. That can't be done. There's something in the way, there's a puzzle you haven't finished yet, whatever. But quit... What does quit do? Like, quit doesn't really change the world that the player's in. It just stops the program. So we might need, like, some kind of meta layer for commands there. Like game commands and then... Or program commands or control commands or something. So that's something we could probably add. Let's get a little to-do file going. Programs. So make sure user can quit. Cool. Let's go back to engine and. Okay, I guess we're going to talk a little bit about command parsing today, because we're going to have to parse the user's input to get the command to go, to jump from room to room in our hopefully multi-room default world. So command parsing in adventure games can get... It's kind of where the fun is for programmers and the game designer. Maybe, in some ways. Maybe not for like the narrative design or anything of the game, because... but you can get really clever with it, right? Parsing regular language is really hard. There's some really super neat takes on text adventure games that have used machine learning to do it for us, and kind of also generate the world at the same time, which is bizarre and fun. But simple games like this, we have to come up with a much more simple structure. A lot of classic text adventure games were super simple in their commands. They might do something like, let's kind of create a block here. Text comment block. Come on. Hands do stuff. There we go. Okay. Right, so they might like go north, which would be your typical mud command to go somewhere. Pick up shovel. And that's seems serviceable here. Well, we could like, you know, sit on chair. Run after car. And the sky's the limit, really, and you can get pretty clever with your designs here and what you're able to parse. You might intentionally parse certain kinds of grammars in weird ways just to make a point. But I think this is going to be serviceable enough for our use case here today for a pretty simple game, hopefully. So go... We call it walk too. So let's walk. Right, walk north, pick up shovel. And the thing here will probably be, you know, our exit name or something. We'll have to look up, maybe do some matching even if we want to make it nice to use. Or we could just make it an exact string match on the exit name or something, just to keep it simple. Yeah, so let's do that for now. Let's do like first word, a space, and then a parameter. Okay, how are we going to model that? Well, let's think of a data structure maybe. That could be... I don't know, particle, command, verb. Right, and that is a string of text, text. What kind of verbs can we want? We have walk. We've got pick up. What do we not like this? Strings. Do not intend to use data kinds. Oh, that's because I'm making a typo list here, of course. That's not gonna work. Oh, you know, I could just do that. Walk is a verb. And it doesn't need double colons, it needs an equal sign because I might space out a little bit here every now and again. Pick up. Is a verb, pick up. Okay. So our goal is to be able to parse these out and create a pickup of a walk. So let's take our parse command, text. Ooh, parse input. That gives me an idea. Yeah, parse input. What's that going to return, right? So the idea that I'm going with here is that when we parse the user's input, say like walk north or pick up shovel, this might not be a valid command at this point in time. So I don't want to just parse it right into a walk entity ID exit, I think. But what are we going to return here if not a command? Let's just return a command. I don't know what I'm going on about. Yeah, because we'd go entity ID here with the command. Alright, so we still have to do some looking up here. So it's going to be something else. That's why when I heard parse input, and myself say parse input, I'm like, maybe we need an input type. And it's going to be maybe some thing. It's going to be a record type. Maybe record type. Right, and that might have a field like the verb. And it might have a parameter, which is just going to be more text. The text we parse out afterwards. So that's not going to be command, that'll be an input. And then, what we would like to go from an input is with that parse command function. Which is going to take an input. And we can get a couple of results out of this, right? We can get either, this doesn't make sense. We can't parse this command. I don't understand. That's a pretty typical response in a text adventure game. I think that makes a lot of sense. Or we get the parsed command with the valid entity ID. So we actually might need to parse the command in terms of the world in that case, in order to do those lookups. And then we get a command, and we get either. And then we'll have input error and command. It's starting to shape up a little nicely, I think. We need to define what input error is. What do we got? We've got invalid verb. Unknown input. Well, there might be others. Probably the lookup errors as well. The lookup errors might be yeah, that might be a thing too. But we might just be able to reuse input. So let's derive something for that. Sure. Okay. So once I get this, then once we get to parse command, we should be able to go back to our REPL. Let's see if that makes sense. We get the input here. We parse it. What do we need to give interact? We need to give it to world and a command, which will have both. And then we get the either game error or world, which we already know how to render. So I think that's all going to line up. Type Tetris. Okay, so let's parse the input then. Let's be super cheese about it. And we'll just split. I don't think we have a split thing. Right, maybe from data dot. Maybe text has it. Something to help us out here. Split on the space, basically. Split on. Okay. And split. That's nice. Okay. So first we're going to t.split on the space character. Which we'll just write it as literal because why not? We're cool. We're not quite done yet. We need another function to transform this list of text into an input. We need just to take the first two things, wrap the verb and then put the text in the parameter. So chat, let's talk text adventure games. Has anybody played one before? I want to know. And if you have, you've played more than one, what's your favorite? Is it Zork? I laugh, it's all Zork. Alright, so we just need to take the first two. But we're not done yet. Okay. This is kind of... Oh, it doesn't like it. Yeah, I know, it's not going to like that because, well... NetHack. Oh, friend. NetHack is wonderful. I've been playing that game for a long time. Holy cow. I haven't heard that name in a long time too. Oh, cool. Let's wear this one. Muck it up. Muck that input. Yeah, NetHack's a wild one to get into. So NetHack used to frustrate me a lot because it has a lot of like what we call yet another stupid death. It's kind of a game where you could die falling down the stairs. It happens. But it's also like very simple under the veneer, but it gets really complex from very simple things early on. So always remember Elbereth. Elbereth is good, but you always kind of pick up these, if you really get into it. I don't remember most of them, but you can pick up all the little tricks along the way that help you survive. That's a good one. There's some really cool playthroughs of it at... I think you can watch them on... From Roguelike Celebration, they usually do like a NetHack playthrough. Should find one. It's awesome. My other favorite rogue style game. Ooh, favorite. It's either Brogue, Caves of Cud. Well, probably Caves of Cud, but Brogue if I want to go old school. Text adventure games, like I'm talking like good old Zork, all those old Infocom games and stuff. Alright. So let me know in the chat. If anybody else wants to pipe up, let us know. Okay, so already with my parse input here, I got the type wrong, of course, because we could always fail to parse the input. So that'll add like a parse fail. Yeah, there's some pretty new ones too. It's a thriving genre. It's very niche though, but it's thriving. Let's check it out. Yeah. If we've got just one element, that could still be a valid input actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the parameter optional. Leave that open. Leave that as a possibility. Nothing. And then if we get a 2, exactly 2, wow. We're good there.
I've got brains to burn, no ordinary AI in this endless ball. Every culture and philosophy, I've read up on them all. I've been living in your shadow
What have we got
for
here?
99999, keeping tabs on every
Oh, yeah,
medication
of course.
and production line. So don't call me a
Hello.
moron, I'm super astute. There is no conundrum that my core cannot confuse. No, don't call me a moron.
That used to be just, of course.
My IQ's the infinite space from here to the moon.
That's strange. What am I doing wrong here? Do I consider Dwarf Fortress text adventure? There is a fair amount of text in it. And it does generate a story. Yeah, you know, maybe in a way it could be a kind of text adventure. I think you could look at it that way. What did I do here? This is like real Haskell vibes right here. Wheatley's song. Okay, so for some reason, it's inferring that I need a maybe list of verbs there.
I know my way around here, every catwalk, every cave, and since you're dead, I've quite appreciated not being your slave. Maybe someday I might get to taste a bit time for a change. There's so much I do for science here, so much I'd rearrange. So don't call me a moron, I'm super astute. There is no conundrum that my core cannot compute.
Couldn't match the type verb with the actual type text in the first argument of input.
My IQ's the infinite space from here to the moon. My IQ's the infinite space from here to the
Oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. Yeah. It's gonna be that kind of night, friend. And that's why we're doing text adventure programming right now. Alright, now... Alright, this is a list of text at the moment. Ew. It's okay, I can make this or anything else. We don't really care. Dwarf Fortress is like a pretty wonderful story generator too, if you can get past the difficulty curve. I have it wishlisted on Steam, the graphical version that's going to be coming out. The creators, Tarn and the brothers, they're just they're interesting people, I think. And they put so much time and effort in this game. But their finances are apparently a little bit... they're getting older. They live in the US, there's issues. And so, hopefully if you're interested in Dwarf Fortress, you buy a copy and support them, because they could use a hand. They don't make a ton of money off of Dwarf Fortress. Cool, so we got the parse input working-ish. Let's test it out maybe. Oh, replica. Alright, well, let's just go down here. Whatever. No idea. It's gonna come out when it comes out. And that's just the way it's gonna be. Okay, parse input. I think we said walk north would be a good one. Right, we don't have overloaded strings. Cool. South going Zaxxon always goes south. Yeah, I learned that Dr. Seuss wasn't the nice person I imagined him to be to write such books and stories. Should look it up sometime. Kind of disappointed, but what can you do? Alright, that one works. Cool. We can write whatever. Behuga hats. Which means we're not quite done. Yet. Alright, we just parsed the input. All we're doing is wrapping the parts of the sentence and giving them some structure. So that we can now parse this into a thing. However, we might want to also do the validation right in here as well. There's another cool pattern that I don't know the Quainic mini patterns page talks about. It's called parse don't validate. Oh, well, they link to it. They link to it in the evidence section. Okay, let's read this one for a second. Evidence, replacing Boolean blindness with the validation witness. Always use it. More importantly, when you want to make sure that data is validated, or you want to reuse the knowledge in the future. Also, as part of making illegal states unrepresentable. Okay. So this sounds a little bit like the smart constructor thing, so it's probably why they link the parse don't validate thing here, which is a good pattern to get into. Parse don't validate, even if you don't hack on Haskell all the time, is a good thing to read. Like if you do another programming language in your job, or just write software in general, and you want more secure software, pay attention to that one. It's a good one. Okay. So for the example, we're going to have a look at the function that sorts a list. Its type in Haskell looks like that, right? Ord of A. Any A as long as it's orderable, which means this is going to probably sort some of the elements in here. Right, but we don't know which order, right? So that's what this problem can solve. We'll create a new type for sorted list. A. We're going to return that type, a value of that type. I don't know if this adds a whole lot. But let's read on. So it probably doesn't, I just don't see it yet. Right, okay. So that's what they mean here, is that dependent types would be able to make sure that at the type level it actually is sorted. And this is maybe more or less serving as documentation. So by wrapping the list into the new type, we record and can provide later an evidence of the list elements order. Right, so not just any list of elements, but a sorted list of elements. So it kind of keeps that fact propagating through your code base. Okay. Right, okay, so returning to the validate hash function. So the code above has two problems. If we call this validate hash there, in the else branch, you can call get user page and let users enter by accident. That would be like an error of omission. And you can simply forget to call validate hash whenever it's needed, which is also true. It happens a lot more than you think. One more type-safe approach would be to return some sort of witness for the fact that the password was validated. Yeah, so this is what I'm thinking we might turn our function into, is this maybe. Wrap it in a maybe. Alright, since user auth can only be created with validate hash, the only way to return a user page is by performing password validation. Which is pretty cool. Alright, what does that mean for us though? So parse don't validate is also another post to read about. And the idea is that you parse your data structures into a valid value. And I think it uses a lot of the same-ish patterns. Right, like if we start off with head, canonical example, I think. Non-empty. Yep. Dangers of validation. Oh, we're really getting a little more sophisticated using monad error and stuff. I don't know if we need to go full there, but it's a good post to read nonetheless. So what we might want to do here is just, when we get a verb, check that it's a verb we know about before returning the right, otherwise return left. And I don't think we need to validate the other one. That would be more of a runtime kind of thing when we go to parse the command. Cool. So let us do that. Okay, so we have our verb. We need to list of verbs, valid verbs to check up on. Ones that we know about. So we could do like find on a list maybe. And get our verb. Our potential verb. And that would be like X in verbs. And we'll probably need maybe wrap that in maybe to right. And then oh, maybe the right takes other parameters. Yeah, of course. Of course it does. Of course, it takes the error that you want to return. So we'll do invalid verb. That makes sense. And then, and only then, we'll return input with our verb be and nothing. And in this case, we'll do the same thing. And ignore verb. Except in this case, we're going to put the just in there. Sorry, just line. So then we just need find on our list of verbs, which I think is a data.list. Yeah, that's pretty safe to import that way. It's going to be okay, pick up. Ooh, that's not quite right. Oh, it's going to be strings. Text. Cool, cool, cool. Find, I might not be using that run, right? Too many arguments. Alright, because it might not find it. Which is why we put maybe right in front of it. What am I doing wrong here? I was expecting either input error or text. Let me just take a drink here. Okay. Okay, so it's finding the text. Right. That's fine. Then we need to wrap that in. Right. This is make input, that's why. So I don't know if we're going to be able to use that trick here. Which is the moment fail thing. Alright, because if I do the find here and I fmap over that with my input constructor even, I have to provide, like it's going to get some value here. I'm going to construct like a verb v and nothing. And actually, yeah, hang on. Verb. Or I could format it this way here. That's not too bad. I don't know, we'll see if HLint has something to say about it. Let's just take that, put that here, change it up a little bit with the Y. We could probably get rid of the do now. And be done with it. Yeah. What is my favorite text adventure? Well, if you consider Mud's text adventures, I used to play a lot of The Dreams of Achia and Dragon Spear. This, I think that's how you spell it. Maybe not. Divine Lands. Played that one a lot. It's still going. And oh, I can't remember the other one. It was a big dragon something mud. And those two are really, really great. And then classic text adventures, like I'm just gonna say Zork. I know it's a cop-out, but it's good. I feel like that's kind of where I was going at the first stream when I was putting the default world together. It's sort of like a haunted version of the White House from Zork. Okie doke, so that's probably pretty good. Let's reload that. Cool. Cool. Yeah. We might get something interesting or bad here. Oh, that's fine. That's totally parsable. Yeah. Let's see if we can Google it here. Not a mud dragon. What was it called? Legend? No, it wasn't. Not Legend of the Green Dragon. No. That's an old door game. That could be considered a text game too. It's probably like the most popular mud in existence too. Which is at the top. Dragon Realms. That's the one. Dragon Realms is super cool. Love it. The combat system is really neat. It's fun. Symmetronics. What's up? Yeah, Dragon Realms. So I used to play all this, like to play the heck out of this game. I don't have an account anymore, but every now and again I start one. Maybe. Same with Achia. Like I started one a while ago at the beginning of the pandemic and played it for a while. My favorite class in that game is the monk. Love, like, you know, powering up your tattoos to give you extra fighting powers. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so we got some like input parsing. So basically at this stage, we're able to get some user input, and it's not, the game won't understand it yet, right? But at least we know that it's got a verb and some parameter to it. I think the next stage is going to be parsing the command. So taking that input, a copy of the world, and we're going to see if we can get a command out of it that makes sense. Like, go to this room. We're going to have to look up the room to get the entity ID for that room. And then we can construct a command, otherwise the game's going to be like, I don't know what that is. And if you've ever played anything like Zork before, let's give it a little swing. I think you can play it online these days. You get like a little error message from the game. Right. Thank you. Alright. So you're out west of house. You are standing in an open field west of a white house with a boarded front door. There is a small mailbox here. If we just type like go south. So I don't know what that is. Type H. I don't know what that is either. We can say like look mailbox. Doesn't really understand that one. What was it? Plants. Oh my god! I don't even remember Zork. Anyways, looking. So we're looking here. Go door. North. So I go north. So we're at the north of the house now. You're facing the north side of the White House. There's no door here, and all the windows are boarded up. To the north, a narrow path winds through the trees. We're on the forest path now, and this is a winding path through a dimly lit forest. The path heads north-south here, and one particularly large tree with some low branches stands at the edge of the path. You hear in the distance the chirping of a songbird. This is kind of what we're going for in our little text game. Fairly static. Maybe we'll add a score at something at some point, some moves, move counting. It'd be kind of cool to have like a TUI or GUI or web UI for it. But that's pretty much the gist of it. I mean, that kind of like go here, I don't know where there is the state part of it. Looking at the current bit of the world and parsing that, so. Let's get our input, world, and we'll start doing what we gotta do. Okay, so we have let's try the parsing the go walk through command. Walk. Yeah. That looks like this. Right at the top. Cool. So we can reuse. No, we at this point we already have the parsed input, so we're good there. I guess in order to get a walk to command, we need to case match on our input. The verb of our input. that would just be there. Yeah, actually, huh. I guess you have to make sure that parse input's the only way we can get an input, to make sure that those verbs are constructed in a weird way. But, anyway. Let's add that to our to-do, actually. Maybe this could be a little more type safe. Good to note. Let's get back to it. We're looking at engineering. Okay, so if I'm gonna case match on the verb, obviously I'm not gonna be able to pattern match on it, because I'm just gonna get a string out of the text. That's what I want to get out of here, I think. Okay. Let's not lose too much sleep on that for now. I don't know, let's be super gross about it, right? Like, if the, let's get the verb out of it. Okay, and we'll get that out of the input. Okay. If verb is equal to walk. Man. Do some stuff. Look up the walk. See where this is getting messy? Haskell is like, no such thing as, messy code. I mean, you can do it. It's gonna be painful. Which ultimately is a good thing. It's a small thing, but it's a nice thing. Okay. Yeah, so if the verb is walk, then we're going to do a whole bunch of stuff with the world. Get destination ID. And we'll get the destination ID, that's from the world, and if we have a walk, it's going to be the parameter of our input. Will be the second part of it. And if we have a we get the destination from that. That'll probably be a maybe. And in a nothing case, we have an error. And what's our input error going to be? Unknown. Let's just use unknown input for now. It's probably a better name for it. Otherwise, we have an entity ID, a room ID. And we can give a command, walk. And else we'll just leave that undefined for now. So we just have to implement guest destination ID. We take a world, we take a text string. It's like a name. Okay. So let's just go back to the definition of our world here. So we have a map of entity IDs to rooms. This is where this lookup's going to get up. It's not going to be my favorite way of looking things up. Because normally we look up things by entity ID in a lot of places. And this is the case where we're going to want to look it up from another way. I don't want to look up the room by the name, because that's what the user is going to be inputting. They're not going to be inputting entity IDs. Alright. So I almost want to add a second map for our rooms that take the key the other way. The room name to the room. Otherwise we have to implement a search over the whole database. And that's not going to be fun. Constructing the world's going to be a pain in the butt, but we're going to write a function to do it for us. By name. Text to room. Oh, sorry, map. Let's just do rooms for now and just play with this first. We don't get too involved in this. I'll be able to back out easy. Room by name. World room by name. Because that's what I got as my parameter, right? So what I'm going to get here. So I'm going to get a maybe something from this map lookup function. Lookup world rooms by name world. I think that's the order it goes in. We'll get a type error if it's not. Otherwise you get the room. We don't want the room actually for the command, we want the room ID. So that doesn't quite make sense. Oops. And then if you do need to look up the room, you got the entity ID, you're just getting the entity ID by the name. So we can return room ID. So this, we're not really doing anything useful here, so we can just replace this whole function with lookup. Don't. Even though we know when we have a walk command, we can't get an empty parameter. We still have to handle that case here. Yeah, this might be a case. This might be a job for our horrible hacky friend from maybe. He dated up maybe. I think it would be synonymous or similar if we use from maybe here to get the parameter from the input. And in the case where it's nothing, we can just return a string that we know won't be in the map, but that could be risky. I don't know. I don't like that so much. Otherwise, we got a pattern match on it. Let's parameter match on it first, then. So it sounded like we were about to do something that was going to go off into a weirdo place. So in the case of nothing, when we go to check the parameter of the walk command, that's an input error right off the bat. Otherwise, we get a name, and then we know the lookup formula there. Takes the key and then the map. Okay, that's good to know. World by okay, so then we need to case match on dest. There's no such room. Otherwise, there is a room ID. And we can return our command. Why are we not happy with this here, though? Let's fix these type errors. Okay. See that one. Right, we changed the type of world a little bit. Not bad. So let's fix that. From list, and we're gonna go from the default room name, front porch, and the room ID is gonna be. Let's see the ID of that. 0. Yeah. Hey, ISO vector. Yeah, we're just taking a short diversion from the database. Just doing a text adventure game. I'm a little bit tired, so we'll probably get back to it next week, though, for sure. We're in the middle of the B tree. Don't want to give it up. It's pretty cool. It's coming along. So today, text adventure game. We're just trying to get the REPL kind of going, the command input parsing going, and being able to move our character around from room to room, just like in the classic game Zork. So yeah, that's our reverse lookup list, or reverse lookup map, so we can look up rooms by name instead of by ID. That's cool, cool, cool. Next type error, please. I think that covers all those. Okay, this one has an extra parameter. Jump to the next one, same thing. Okay, we're back here. This is just getting... Yeah, I kind of want to be that to be indexed and look up value there. Oh, it's because I'm returning left here. Yeah. It's probably, I'm probably doing something fishy. When you're returning nothing and you're pattern matching on nothing, obviously you're doing something, you might be doing something a little bit off. And what I'm doing is this. The parameter of the input we can just give directly. All right, it's because it's just no. It smells fishy, but let's just get over to this last one here. We'll clean it up by linting. Couldn't match type room with exit. Aha! See? We thought we were working with room IDs, right? But our phantom type parameters saved us. Our walk-to command doesn't talk about room IDs, it talks about exit IDs. So let's go fix that quickly. We might introduce some other type errors here because we've changed the order here that we destructure on. So we exit item. Just go to the next one. Just get rid of that. We hit empty exit list. Let's add an entity to our default world. Use 3 on exit. Oh, we'll put a door there, because that only makes sense. You're in a porch. That door is an exit. An exit. There's probably a name, a description. Rooms. Door. Front door. It looks like it hasn't been opened in a long, long time. Let's just goes from 0 to 0. Why not? That could be a legal room, a legal door, exit in our world. So then we have to put together the reverse list, lookup list. So this is from the name, front door, to the room ID, or the exit ID. It's level 3. Cool, cool, cool. Next up. This is no longer the case. What's this? This is no longer the case. It's over here. So, I'm noticing that I'm doing that logs, I'm destructuring those. I'm wondering if maybe eventually we get to the place where we'll want lenses for this, or to avoid destructuring a little more. Probably not that big of an issue. Okay, so then we get back to here again. Previous type error. Step here. Entity ID. Entity O. Booyah. Okay. World rooms by name, maybe. Oh, I called it world exit by name. That totally makes sense. Okay, and now not quite. Well, you know what it is? I forgot to update the type here. Cool, cool, cool. Thank you. Oh, no, I don't use that yet. Okay, cool. So let's just double check that parse command thing. See if that goes. So if we take parse input, right, we should be able to give that a text like walk north. And if we pipe that into parse command, can't really compose them together so well because I got them NP. Walk north, and we parse that input in the context of a world to get a command. A default world. We should get an error. Alright, we have an either input. NP there. Oh no, sorry. Still wanted to be left, but we'll just... because we know it's good input. We have undefined in there because that's going to throw an exception, of course. We'll just throw something silly in here right now. Just to satisfy you. And reload. Alright, we get left unknown input, and that's, well, maybe we should put, just to convince ourselves. Parse fail. Cool. Cool, so it's getting to the right branch. I'm not huge on this function just yet, but that's the gist of it. So now, when we parse the command, we should be able to, I think we have everything we need to go back to the REPL and be able to handle that command, update the state, and render the room. So, there's our REPL. Let's get our unused input. What are we going to do here? So that's going to be like a raw input, I guess. Okay, it's gotta be converted to text. T dot unpack. No, T dot pack. Other way around. Okay, so now we have an either input. What do we need next? We need to give that input to our parse command with our world. So whatever. This is gonna get gross. I'm so sloppy today. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's all good. NP, sure. It sounds good. So if we have an NP, what are we gonna do? We're gonna get our command. Take our NP, our world, and if it gets an error, we'll also do that. Ugh. Then we get the command finally. Hooray! So we can create a world prime here, the next state of our world. Render that. Start it all over again. Interact, I think, was that. No, oops. It's showing my prelude interact. World command right there. Ugh, we got a pattern match on that. Good again, because reasons. So there's going to be a way we can clean this up for sure, because we're kind of doing the same bunch of things over and over again. We're just slowly marching to the right. So no worries, friend. We will do it. So yeah, let's replace that with another. Right, notice what we're doing here. Like same thing over and over again. Alright, otherwise we got the new world prime. Okay, and then do that. So I'll do in. Okay. Yes. Or we'll just bring in one function I use. Okay. Not the best names. It conflicts with prelude. So what should we call our interact function? Update. Why not? I'm going to do standard as well. Okie dokie. No more compiler errors for us. Let's test it out. It's gonna work. First try. First try. Right, if we try to go north, that's gonna be dumb. Invalid verb. We gotta quit. That's not going to be so nice for our users. Well, we're going to have to fix our loop here, but... oh, sorry, that's an invalid verb. So that should get an unknown input, right? That works. Front door, I think, is the string we're going to be searching for here. Yeah. Yeah, not first try, and I know exactly why. Do you know the error? Because I know the error is. It's to do with our command parsing. To show you what I mean, let's rename our front door, or our door, to just door. Doesn't really have to update in both places, you just have to update it here, but you will see. You will see. So we walk to the door. That's cool. It works. First try. No. Our parsing of our parameter, though, is because, yeah, we have multiple, if we have multiple words, we use that split. So if the exit's name is front space door, picking that up. Cool, cool. But we're getting to the end of the stream, so we'll put that in the to-do. To-do. No, not to-dos. Where is it? There it is. To-do. Fix the input parameter parsing. I should just take the rest of the line. Cool, cool, cool. Let's commit it. Let me undo that. Cool, yeah. Oof. Not a bad little sesh. Got a little REPL going. I'm quite happy with that. But as we saw, to like really fill out Zork, I think we got some work ahead of us on this project. But like we're gonna have to add to our top level loop some state and that kind of stuff. Alright, to get to here, like we're gonna need some state for the score and the number of moves used. But I think we're getting there. But yeah, so next week I'm probably gonna return to the database project, and I might actually start streaming a little bit more. I have a lot more free time on my hands right now, as I mentioned at the beginning, so maybe I'll turn that into a little bit of extra productivity on the database for a little bit. But we'll still keep up with the Tuesday nights, for sure. Alright, isovector. Maybe to write is called note in the errors package. Okay. Yeah, I kind of stole maybe to write from the either combinators package and copy past it in it because we needed it at the last second to fix up this code up here. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Bvich. And I'll let everyone know ahead of time if when I'm gonna do those little extra streams. But yeah, Tuesday night for sure. If that's all you tune in for, I'll be back Tuesday night, definitely, 100%. And we'll keep working on Rosby. So yeah, I'm gonna add that to to-do as well. Cool. Well, thanks again for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter, Agent Ultra. My website's Agent Ultra as well. The code's up on GitHub, and the link to the code will be in the video descriptions on the YouTubes and all of that. And if you like what you saw tonight or any other time, give me a follow. Every little follow helps, or subscribe on YouTube if the time zone difference is no good. And we'll see you next week for sure, hopefully, and maybe for little bonus streams in the next coming weeks. Take care. Have a good one.